Now let's bring in NHL insider Darren Dreger. Dregs, the Leafs lock in Matthew Knies for the next 6 years. A cap hit under $8 million per. What do you make of the deal?
Well, it's a tidy deal to be sure. Excellent work by Brad Treliving and the Toronto Maple Leafs to get Matthew Knies under contract at an annual average salary, as you point out, below $8 million. But more importantly, Jermain, on a 6-year term. I know that the Knies camp pushed hard, at least through most of this negotiation, for a much shorter term. So when you think of the ability of Matthew Knies, his progression at this point in the National Hockey League, I mean, he's 22 years of age, 6'3", 230-pound power forward who scored 29 goals last season. So assuming he continues to progress, here's one thing I'm confident of saying. By the midpoint of the term of this 6-year contract extension, it will have aged very, very well. So Matthew Knies makes some money, and the Toronto Maple Leafs get a very important piece locked up for the next 6 years.
Yeah, it looks like it's a win for both sides for sure. And of all the pending unrestricted free agents this summer, Mitch Marner is #1 on TSN's UFA list. There's been a ton of speculation of where he could end up. Dregs, what's the latest on that?
Well, more speculation, to be honest, Jermain. And you're right. On Saturday, we reported that talks were ongoing between the Vegas Golden Knights and the Toronto Maple Leafs on the potential of a trade or a sign and trade. And that's the current situation. So not a lot has changed, but keep in mind that both Kelly McCrimmon and Brad Treliving are both trying to manage their rosters. Again, Treliving getting some work done with the Matthew Knies extension. So there's a lot going on with all 32 clubs. So I expect that the talks will intensify before Tuesday and July 1st. I mean, the fact that the Vegas Golden Knights are trying to get the jump speaks to, I would say, their interest that dates back over a year, where, twice in the past year, McCrimmon and the Vegas Golden Knights have tried to trade for Mitch Marner. He's a player that they covet, so trying to acquire his rights or get the Toronto Maple Leafs to agree to a sign and trade remains a priority. They like Mitch Marner in Vegas.
Yeah, and right behind Mitch Marner on our UFA list is Brad Marchand. Where do you think he could end up?
Well, I'll tell you what people around the National Hockey League think, because Bill Zito, the GM of the Panthers, and Wade Arnott, who represents Brad Marchand, neither camp is saying a whole lot. Other than that, there is ongoing dialogue between the two sides. But what I would tell you is that the messaging outside of Florida is the expectation that Brad Marchand stays with the Panthers. But this is a family man, and his family is going to have considerable influence and input, as they should. There's some speculation that maybe Brad Marchand goes back to the Boston Bruins and signs a longer term there. Maybe he morphs into a different role off ice when his playing days are over. If he gets to Tuesday, I can assure you that teams like the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to do whatever they can to step up. Now, whether or not the Maple Leafs have the budget is yet to be seen, but most still think that the Florida Panthers will find a way to keep one of their older stars in the fold.
Yeah, now, I don't know if this is a trend, Dregs, but on Friday, John Tavares signed a team-friendly contract to stay in Toronto. Then on Sunday, Claude Giroux, well, he took a 1-year deal to stay with his hometown team. What kind of flexibility does that give the front office?
Well, it's important to both the Ottawa Senators and the Toronto Maple Leafs. I mean, that's why this negotiation took as long as it did on both fronts, to leave a little bit more money. But that doesn't push away or dismiss the importance of these two key players to their rosters and organizations. If we look at the most recent one in Claude Giroux, yeah, you're right. On the open market, I mean, he's likely getting a 2-year deal north of $6 million per on Tuesday. But he clearly wanted to stay in Ottawa and finish his playing days, likely anyway, with the Ottawa Senators. So he'll make $2 million base and bonus money up to $2.75 million. But both players, Giroux and John Tavares, are represented by Pat Brisson, who earned his commission on both fronts, because there was a lot of back and forth in negotiating with the Leafs and with the Ottawa Senators.